Welcome back to Geek Classic, the series of videos where I review older films that I haven't reviewed yet on the channel. I did the original Spider-Man trilogy, as well as some others you can find on my channel, and I'll leave the link to the playlist below. And since War of the Planet of the Apes is almost here, I decided to do Rise and Dawn. And of course, as always, spoilers ensue. Rise of the Planet of the Apes came out in 2011 and it was directed by Rupert Wyatt, written by Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, and it stars Andy Serkis as Caesar and James Franco, Frida Pinto, and John Lithgow, among others. And this, of course, is about a biotech company in San Francisco in which Will Rodman, played by James Franco, works at because they are trying to find a cure for Alzheimer's to restore the brain. Will Rodman is very invested in this because his father, unfortunately, has Alzheimer's. And how do they test this disease? Well, they test it on chimps. This is where things go wrong because the apes are kind of super affected by this. And also this proves that a good movie can have stupid names. I still remember in 2011 looking at the trailers for this film and being astounded by how real the apes look. And to this day, they do hold up very well. You can see a lot of differences, especially in the character of Caesar, because he has grown older and the years have gone by. And rewatching this movie again is so refreshing to look back and see Caesar as a child, and then as a young ape, and then as already a young adult, let's say, by the end of the first film. And the CGI is really tremendous in this film throughout. All the apes, all the special effects, the scene on the bridge is fantastic, and I just love the character of Caesar so much. Andy Serkis did something really special in this film. This is not my favorite performance of his amongst the two Apes movies I've seen him in, but he's really captivating in this. And this is a very hard performance to pull the audience into. This is a performance where he barely speaks, so he really has to bring it all, not only in his emotions and the way he transmits it through his eyes, and of course that is aided by the special effects team, who did again a fantastic job, but when he does speak, he really does have to make it impactful. And I bet there's some moderation on the voice using Pro Tools and whatnot. But Andy Serkis really does something special with this role. A very vulnerable and pure creature that does gain some levels of hardenship throughout this film because he sees so many tough situations going on and so many things wrong with the world, with the humans, and also then he discovers the bad things about his life when Will tells him that his mother was held in that lab and she was killed there and he had to be taken care of by Will. That is a powerfully emotional scene. The way this movie starts also is very good. When you see the apes on the forest and then people capturing them and then testing them, you start to get some seeds into the next movies. I still haven't seen War, but we get some of the seeds that were planted here in Dawn. I also love that we get to know Caesar's mother, and for a while it really seems like the movie is going to be about Will and Caesar's mother, Blue Eyes if I might recall her name. And the relationship is beautiful, so when James Franco takes this little baby ape to his home to take care of him, to give some company to his father who is suffering from Alzheimer's, and he's trying to test the vaccine on him, it also works a lot to give a good relationship to his father and Caesar. And then it becomes kind of cathartic when James Franco not only has to take care of his father, which, let's face it, it's not what should be a natural situation, he has on himself a son that he illegally took out of the company. And I gotta say, the Alzheimer's storyline with Will's father in this movie works effectively with me because at the time, my grandfather was still alive and he was suffering from Alzheimer's, so I could see a lot of my grandfather in John Lithgow's performance, and he was damn excellent in this film. He portrays someone with Alzheimer's very well, very subtly. He doesn't go over the top, he doesn't disrespect it at all. I know it from witnessing someone close to me having suffered from Alzheimer's, and he is not with us anymore. And when Will's father dies in this film, it's just so heavy. There are a lot of heavy moments in this movie, and this movie is a lot of drama. It's a lot of relationship building. It builds a relationship and it focuses on characters, mainly the relationship between Will and Caesar. I love the sequence when they first go to the big red trees and Caesar finds this dog and they have this kind of confrontation because people just find it weird that they have an ape. I can understand it, but you're immediately on the side of the apes because you see these horrible people testing on them, and again, the beginning of the film right there just pounds you up. Another heavy scene is when Will is forced to take Caesar into this, what I like to call the ape asylum, that is run by Brian Cox and Tom Felton. These two guys are douches, but they serve a great purpose in this story. The movie slowly shows you the apes communicating with the other because at this moment, Caesar is the only one evolved. So the movie slowly builds again on drama and on relationships to give you a fantastic action sequence on the third act. James Franco also gets this girlfriend who's also an animal lover, and the relationship is okay. I feel their chemistry, but I feel it because I like James Franco's character. We'll get to Fredo Pinto and the others in a bit. And James Franco is also fantastic in this film. I think this is one of my top 3 favorite performances from his. He really carries this film along with Caesar. For the first half at least, he is the one carrying this story and pulling the audience in, and I think he does a tremendous job at it. But this movie, despite not being too long and having a fantastic third act full of action, even then, it is very slowly paced. The movie knows it's hard to ask people to take this seriously, but they take these characters seriously. They take them as real apes, as real people, as a real situation that maybe could occur, because they're related to significant and realistic situations. The world building in this movie is extremely good. I adore the world building in this. And I gotta talk about Tom Felton. His character is not much in this film, but I love that he is such an asshole because he plays it so well. And I still remember, honestly, I could not control myself, getting up and cheering when this moment came.
Take your stinking paw off me, you damn dirty ape!
No! I still get chills watching that scene. That could have gone very wrong. I mean, very wrong. But I was so in awe at this moment where Caesar yells in his face and then the apes escape and they go to Genesis and they release the other apes and we get that first eye contact between Caesar and Koba. And it's just so spectacular what follows. I love this moment before the battle in the San Francisco bridge actually starts, where you have the cops blocking the road and they just see fog and there is silence, but then we see how the apes are moving, and how this battle builds on is such a tense scene. It is so fantastically done. I love how this movie doesn't rush into the battle just to give us action. It still slowly moves into the battle. It slowly weaves into, because it's going to change drastically the pacing and the tone of the film so far. And we have this spectacular battle sequence in the San Francisco bridge. It is so good. It still holds up. It's one spectacular action sequence, but it's not one that releases the drama. You see a lot of apes die. You see a lot of people die. You see a lot of apes being shot. I love the moment where the gorilla goes against the helicopter, and even in this gigantic battle sequence, we still get moments of pause with Caesar having doubts about what he's doing. Does he really want to do this? Does he really believe in this cause? Does he think he is doing the right thing 100%? We get pauses like this in the perspective of Will seeing Caesar, his docile animal and friend, rampaging through the city with the rest of the apes commanding them to do so. And the emotional beats come from this because we already know these characters so well, and there's a shift right here. Not only in the tone, it's much more aggressive and visceral to the rest of the film, which was very slow-paced at the moment, and we had just had slow moments to breathe with these characters, and now they themselves don't know what to do. They are not sure what is going on, how they can fix this situation, but everything works out very well. And I gotta say, despite not feeling anything for David Oyelowo's character, I watched his death with a big grin on my face because he has just taken the life of a gorilla, the gorilla that Caesar liberated from the prison, and then in comes Skoda with this sadistic grin in his face and this evil glow in his eyes, and he just pushes the helicopter down and it falls on the river, and it's so satisfying to see the build of the future great villain of the second movie. The moment when the apes first come to San Francisco and they start emerging from the roofs and on the streets and people are just frightened and paralyzed, you have that shot at Genesis with David Oyelowo's character looking up and he's surrounded by apes looking down at him in circles. This movie is gorgeously shot. I mean, it's beautifully directed, and I am actually sorry that we don't see a lot of Rupert Wyatt directing things these days. I know he directed The Gambler, but I haven't seen it till this day, but what I remember is that the ratings were not very good at the time it came out. But why do we care about the action sequence in the end? Be it beautifully shot, be it beautifully directed all around, this movie has a really good relationship. It has a real good foundation. It's like a house. It has a good floor, good pillars, and the roof of the house is the third act full of action, with the apes rising at last. And that roof is built upon the rest of the great foundation that this movie is, with a beautiful relationship that is fleshed out between two great characters. The ending of this movie is extremely emotional for me because we remember that awesome sequence when Caesar goes to the trees for the first time and he feels free. He tried to feel free and that got him into the asylum. So when he finally goes there again and you see the rest of the apes there with him and him being declared the leader when they offer him the hand and all, it's just a fantastic sequence and gets your emotions pumping. And all the Apes movies, in my opinion, at least this one and Dawn, they have two emotionally hooking endings that don't let you go. This scene with Will having to say goodbye to Caesar and Caesar talking to him for the first time in a full sentence.
Caesar is home.
I think it's just fabulous, and again, just talking to you guys about this is giving me chills. Rupert Wyatt knew how to handle with these characters and with this story. He has this slow pace throughout the movie that just brings you in and connects you with these characters so much. The cinematography is, and I've talked enough about the special effects. My only problem with this movie is that besides Caesar, James Franco's character Will, and John Lithgow's character, we don't connect to anyone else. The rest of the characters are pretty one-dimensional. Of course, I go to these movies for the action, for the story, but I want to connect with characters. And I am already rooting for the apes right from the beginning, but I still want to connect with the other characters. Frida Pinto is alright as far as the performance is concerned, but her character is just bland. That asshole neighbor of them who gets the disease and transports it around the world by the end, we get that tag at the post-credit scene. But besides those three characters, who are the hook of the story, so they did well enough in feeling for them, there's not much character in this film. Despite the one-dimensional characters surrounding the main cast, I feel for these three main characters every time I watch this movie. I feel for the apes. I feel for Will and his struggles trying to take care of his father. I love this story and how it's handled. The special effects still hold up to this day. The score is fabulous. So is the cinematography. The pacing of this movie, I gotta say it's pitch perfect. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, if I still remember correctly, was my favorite movie of 2011. It is a fantastic beginning to what appears to be a spectacular trilogy, one of the best of all times, and Rise of the Planet of the Apes is for sure a collector's item. What do you think of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, my beautiful geekies? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments below. Go check out my other geek classics and check out my spoilers-free review of Spider-Man Homecoming. I will release a spoilers review this coming week. Thank you so much for watching, my beautiful geekies. You guys are the freaking best. I love you all so much. Thank you for everything you've given me in this channel. I would be nothing without you guys. So until the next review, you stay beautiful, you stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and the bell so we can be geeky united!